everybody. I'm Dr. Greg Sloop, and it's time for the September 10th, 2024 edition of Live at 5. Hope you're having a wonderful day. We are still in Hickory, enjoying the NICL with Dr. Mark Rutland, learning a lot. Um, Hoping to sum it up tomorrow with another great session and then head on back to Kannapolis. We're looking still at prominent or well-known passages and stories from the Old Testament. Today we're looking at Exodus chapter 23, starting in verse 20 and going to the end of the chapter, which is verse 33. This talks about the angel and the promises. God is speaking to Israel and talking to Moses as he relates these messages over to the people of Israel. And in verse 20 of chapter 23, it says, "Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Do not provoke him, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him." So he's telling them, I'm sending an angel. He's going to protect you. He's going to go with you. He's going to bring you in. He's going to help you in every way that you need help, and he will be your source. But at the same time, don't sin, don't provoke him, obey him, be an obedient and compliant member of this family of God, and he's going to bring you into the place that I've promised you. Don't disobey. He will be an enemy. He will not pardon you. He is operating in my authority, basically. Then he goes on, verse 22. But if you indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy to your enemies and an adversary to your adversaries. For my angel will go before you and bring you into the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. He says, I will cut them off. He says, basically, I will annihilate them. So he's given them the negative side of this relationship with the angel. He's saying if you don't obey the angel, he will not pardon you, and he will bring you trouble. But if you do obey the angel that I'm sending your way, then he's going to protect you. He'll prepare the way for you. He will cut off your enemies and annihilate them so that you can have the land which God has promised you. Then we go to verse 24. You shall not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do according to their works, but you shall utterly overthrow them and completely break down their sacred pillars. So he's saying, when you go in, you're going to obey the angel. If you do so, the angel's going to bless you. But when you get in there and you see these idols, you cannot worship them. You cannot bow down to them. You've got to overthrow them, throw them over, break them down, tear them up. Don't let them mesmerize you. Don't let them intrigue you. Don't let them come into your thinking, but instead just break them down, tear them up. Don't bow down. Don't serve. Don't do according to their works. You cannot mingle with the other gods in the land that I'm giving you. Brings us down to verse 25. So you shall serve the Lord your God, and he will bless your bread and your water, and I will take away sickness from the midst of you. No one shall suffer miscarriage or be barren in your land. I will fulfill the number of your days. Wow, what great promises from the Lord. He says, if you serve him, you will serve him. And when you serve him, he'll bless your bread. That's your food. He'll bless your water. He says he'll take sickness away from the midst of you. He says you're going to be plentiful. You're going to be prosperous. You're going to be fertile. You're going to produce a lot of children. Nobody will have a miscarriage. Nobody will be barren. I'm going to let you have all the children you want. And you're going to populate the land, and you're going to be a great and mighty people. And he said, I'll fulfill the number of your days. In other words, you're going to live long lives. All these blessings are promised to them if they just simply serve the Lord. Verse 27, I will send my fear before you. I will cause confusion among all the people to whom you come, and I will make all your enemies turn their backs to you. And I will send hornets before you, which shall drive out the Hivite, the Canaanite, and the Hittite from before you. I will not drive them out from before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field become too numerous for you, little by little I will drive them out from before you until you have increased and you inherit the land. So he's saying, I'm going to drive them out. I'm going to make it like hornets are chasing them out. I'm going to make them turn their back and run from you. And you will drive out all of the people of the land, the Hivites, the Canaanites, the Hittites. But he says, I'm going to do it little by little. I know you'd probably like to have it all at one time, but if you're not prospered yet, if you're not fertile yet, if you're not producing children, then you won't be able to fill the land, and the land will become desolate. So therefore, he says he's going to do it little by little. And God sometimes does that for us. He tells us that he's going to bless us, but he doesn't do it all in one fell swoop. Sometimes he takes it and gives it to us a little at a time. He goes on in verse 31, and I will set your bounds or your boundaries, your borders, from the Red Sea to the sea, Philistia, and from the desert to the river, the Euphrates. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out before you. Well, when we talk about the Red Sea, that's the northern boundary. When we talk about Philistia, that's the Red Sea is the southern boundary. Forgive me. And then the Philistia, the sea from Philistia, is the northern boundary. And then when he talks about from the desert, which is the eastern border, to the river Euphrates, you're going to be east and west, up and down. You're going to have a great area. You're going to have a huge inheritance. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out before you. Verse 32, again, another warning about how you worship. You shall make no covenant with them, no treaty with them, nor with their gods. Now, unfortunately, Israel allowed itself to be tricked into one treaty, and the other people they allowed to stay in the land. That is not what God told them to do. Make no covenant, nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in your land, lest they make you sin against me. For if you serve their gods, it will surely be a snare to you. So here God is giving this great promise. He's promising to send his angels to help them. He's promising that God will bless you. He's promising to send hornets before you to drive out the people in the land that don't need to be there. He's going to do it in stages so they can grow into it. He's going to give them boundaries from sea to sea, from desert to river, and they will be delivered. The land will be delivered into their hands, and they'll be able to drive them out. All he asks is don't let them stay in the land and don't serve their gods. We find out later that Israel does serve their gods in places. Some people do, and it becomes a snare and it becomes a problem to them. So when God saves us, the parallel for us, when God saves us, he expects us to inherit the blessings, and he wants us to inherit the promises of God for our lives. He wants us to be blessed. He wants us to prosper. But he also wants us to not go back to the false gods that we served, to not go back to the old way of living, but instead to remain pure and holy in the sight of God and tell the devil no when it comes to sinning, when it comes to accepting his temptations. Tell him no. And that is the word for today. Let's see who we've got on with us today. I see Richard Britt, Josh Akers, Sharon Noblet, Miriam Maria, Vivian Thompson, Maurice Tresquillo. It's so good to have each and every one of you on here. And whether you watch us now at 5 or later or tonight or tomorrow, whatever time you watch, day or night, it's always our honor and privilege to bring you the Word of God for this short Bible study each and every day, Sunday through Friday. Please spend time with God every day when you get up in the morning or whenever you get up. If you work third shift and you get up at the evening, start your day spending time with God. It's the best thing you'll do all day, and it can be a transformational moment for your day. Please know we love you and we're praying for you, and I look forward to seeing each of you again tomorrow.